Song of Ice and Fire podcast. I am Sir Matt, the Bud Knight.
And I am Sir Ezra, the Watchful. Welcome to our Song of Ice and Fire book club. Today, we are discussing who is the Night King.
Yeah. Kind of a special episode. Sir Ezra and I had we had planned to record early just because we both had kind of some things coming up. And then they dropped the trailer, and so we said, all right, we gotta do this trailer thing. And so then we were gonna do the main episode, and wow, we just stumbled across some news, and we're like, we just gotta do an episode about this. Yeah, it's just too big not to. So we're gonna push the main episode back a week. You're still getting it, but yeah, just a lot of stuff coming out. It's going to be kind of, like we said, once season 8 comes, guys, it's going to be kind of hold on because, you know, things are going to be coming flying in fast. So that's kind of where we're at. But, yeah. Sir Ezra and I was digging today, and I read IGN. I go there for a lot of news. Came across kind of this interview here. Game of Thrones Night King is out to kill one specific target in season 8.
Yeah.
In an interview with EW, what's this guy's name? Vladimir Fudrik. He's the guy who plays the Night King. I think he's just kind of like a stunt man, but he doesn't really say anything, and so he is the guy who plays the role of the Night King. He says in an interview, Fudrik said that the Night King has a target, and while he didn't explicitly say it's Jon Snow, he seemed to imply as much. People, this is him speaking, people will see he has a target he wants to kill, and you will find out who that is, said Fudrik. There's also a moment in the 5th season of Hardhome when Jon Snow was on the boat and the Night King looked at him and raised his arms. There's a similar and even stronger moment between Jon and the Night King this time. So that's like big deal.
Yeah, it's huge.
Big deal. When asked what the Night King wants, Fudrik said, and if maybe it's Fudrik, I don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody made him the Night King. Nobody knows who he was before. A soldier or part of nobility. He never wanted to be the Night King. I think he wants revenge. Everybody in the story has two sides, a bad side and a good side. The Night King only has one side, a bad side. Wow. Finally, when asked what his all-time favorite moment is as the Night King, he says, that's still coming.
Oh, man.
So, yeah. So, he hasn't played the Night King throughout Game of Thrones, as Richard Bake had that honor in seasons 4 and 5, I guess.
Yeah.
He took over the role in season 6, playing the first White Walker's Snow kills in the previous season. Anyway, and so we see him. We also see that the guy who gets kind of turned into the Night King in that one scene with the Children of the Forest when Bran goes back.
Right.
So anyway, so kind of a huge deal here, and Sir Ezra and I were talking about this before we got on. You know, something that always kind of struck me as odd is, who is the Night King exactly? What does he want? He seems so powerful. Why? What is it about the wall? There's some stuff that we've done some digging on, that caused him not to be able to cross. If he just wanted to simply kill Jon Snow, he's had ample opportunities, as we see in season 7, right? When Daenerys has to come in with Drogon and save Jon when they're on that island when they're trying to get the White to take back to Cersei. You know, the Night King is just standing there and the army sitting around, right, waiting to attack. And then later he, you know, grabs icicle spears and hits a dragon mid-air. So I don't think that if he wanted to simply kill Jon Snow, he would have had any issue doing so when Jon Snow's trapped in the middle of this island. That tiny little island right there. Yeah. So I think there's a lot more to it, and we're kind of gotta get into that.
Yeah, I think one of the things that was clearly like we were discussing a dragon, you know, trap. I mean, hoping that the dragons would show up there, and then he could claim a dragon. So I mean, should we just dive right into this, or is that what we're doing? We're just
absolutely
going. Okay, we're going
absolutely, yeah.
because it's huge. This interview, this just hearing that and knowing that the Night King has a target, and the speculation, and there's a strong correlation. He actually talks about the confrontation between he and Jon Snow, but then he kind of beats around it a little bit and doesn't actually say that the target is Jon Snow, but yet he's saying that there is this, relationship between, the two of them, but then he says he's clearly after someone, a target. And first of all, my question is why? What is it that he's after a person, like like one individual? Why would that be? And
the only other person I would say, if there's, it would be maybe. There's only two people I could think of if it was not Jon Snow, Daenerys or Bran, because Bran, has obviously powers that the Night King, may want or something like that.
Yeah.
And the Daenerys, of course, if she is, Azor Ahai, that other spectrum, it's not Jon. Then there's that.
Yeah. Okay. Here's what I think we should do. I think we should take them one at a time because I have a lot of stuff on each of those characters, and then
all three of those characters. Yeah.
Yeah, and then here's the other thing is I would like to throw another one in the mix. A couple more, actually, maybe. Just some twisted... I mean, once you threw in the Hodor stuff and Bran being able to go back and mess with things and timelines and stuff...
And remember, Bran was searching, right? Bran and the Night King grabbed him. So clearly the Night King has some sort of power of, of sight or something to be able... It's like he... is clearly there's something magical going on with him to where he can sense Bran in that moment or or something.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, should we start with Dany? I mean, we want to start with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
okay.
Go right ahead.
So I think if the Night King is after, because first I want to talk about who the Night King is after, and then who is the Night King. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
That's what we're setting up. That's what we're setting up for. If he's after Dany, I think it's because she represents, fire, right? This is a Song of Ice and Fire. I know it's an HBO adaptation. It's Game of Thrones, but, the series is a Song of Ice and Fire, and she, has dragons and, possibly has, I don't know, if you go with the whole R'hllor faith, she may be a representation of, the Red priesthood there, and
absolutely
have R'hllor's backing. Who knows? Maybe she is the champion that we're looking for, the princess that was promised, or Azor Ahai, and so that's the target. Maybe that's the ultimate confrontation. The Night King just knows that's who I need to kill. Could go back to the comet, right? When the comet was seen over Westeros, the red comet. It's like an awakening to the others. I feel like the others have always been there. They've been talked about for a long time. They were beat back,
absolutely,
and kept behind a wall. So what is it that has caused them to rise up? They've always been there. They've been much, much further in the land of always winter, but now they've come down, and it all has to do with the emergence of this comet as like an awakening for the dragons, and then also for the others. So yeah, that's where I see. The reason being, it's pretty straightforward. It's good versus evil there. It's just Night King coming after, Azor Ahai, princess that was promised. But that kind of goes against some of the way Gur writes, and that he doesn't like it to be that clear cut,
Right.
So
no, you're absolutely right. He likes gray characters, and that's kind of what I just read, right? With part of that interview is.
Yeah.
With maybe the exception of the Night King, he only has one side, a bad side.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts there on just Dany? Is that what, like, why?
Yeah,
why take
I
out
think
Dany?
To me, Dany represents the rebirth of magic.
Yeah.
Possibly her connection with being Azor Ahai. She has dragons, and we saw the warlocks want the dragons, right? Lots of people want the dragons because it's this power symbol. Aegon used them to be able to conquer the seven kingdoms, and so, if you're the Night King, that's, if you get a dragon, then you have the power to conquer essentially the entire, entire planet, pretty much.
Yeah. Wow, dude, so that's going to lead me into a whole, like, what is, the Night King's purpose too? Does he want to conquer all of Westeros? Or or is it a passing on of, is he cursed? Because they've showed us, and we're going to get there. We're going to move to John in a second, but like they showed us the children of the forest plunging that obsidian dagger into his chest and creating him, And at that point in time, I would say there was good in him. He looked like he didn't want to be a part of that. It looked like he was being forced into that role for them, that sacrifice, wherever that was, that might have been the Isle of Faces. I don't know, where that was, but that was concerning. So, maybe the Night King now is just only, according to Vladimir here, has just this bad side. But look back at that guy, the terror in his eyes. Unless, why is he's got his mouth is bound up? He's unless I'm wrong in that. Maybe he was was all in.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing is, we still don't know who the Night King is. Is he Bran the Builder? Is he something? He says he wants revenge.
Yeah.
Revenge, implies that something happened to him.
Yes.
That caused him to become this. He wasn't,
Yeah.
So what is it that he wants revenge on?
Right. And exactly. So he wants revenge. So is it, or I almost think of it like a beast situation where he has to break a curse, So like, does he have to? Is destroying Dany going to break that curse, or is it? Now let's move to Jon. Why? And you said it. He's already kind of had the opportunity to, kill Jon. He could have thrown that spear down in there, and
absolutely. He seems crazy powerful. It seems like there were plenty of times when it seems like he's chasing Jon, like he's baiting him.
Yeah.
And Bran too. There's the Bran connection as well.
Right. Yeah, and I was thinking too when he has like the heroes, assembled there on the little island with the ice is all around and the whites and the others can't get to him, air quote, can't get to him. It's like they can freeze things, can't they? Couldn't they have frozen that water to like
Yeah, I'm sure they could have.
Maybe get across there? I don't know, like
well, the water was already frozen, remember, because they do then get across. Yeah, because the hound throws a rock, hits one, and they realize, we can make it across, and then they do. But you would have to imagine that they do it. Now, I guess the question is though, because they stand there for a while, was the Night King holding them all in control?
Yeah.
Or did the Night King somewhat lose control in that situation? That's a scene that I've never been entirely sure of, because if the Night King can just control that many, that sets up some way that they may be able to defeat all these people. We know they're tied to them, right? Like when you kill a White Walker, you kill
like a legion of them,
kill them all, right? Yeah. So does he have complete 100% control over all of these whites? Right? Is it kind of like a parasite, type of a thing, or like a bee, It's kind of, you think about he's like the queen bee, type of a thing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and
they're all tied to that kind of thing.
Yeah, and then also in that same scene, does the Night King not know that they can cross on ice? You know what I'm saying? I feel like they've come across other bodies of water up there in the north. So why did they stop, or why weren't they pushed forward? Was it truly a setup to get that dragon? Did he know that was going to happen? I just don't. I don't know, but that's. We're kind of digging into the details there. Maybe that's just movie making and what have you. But
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so Jon. I also was thinking too is maybe that his target is not. He does say, the actor Vladimir, is it Furtick? I think something like that says that. That he was after someone. I was thinking maybe. Still he could be after a thing, an artifact or something. Perhaps if Jon is leading him somewhere, or maybe he's trying to get access, into places he can't get to. It's kind of like when he, like you said, when he touches Bran, it gives him the ability to either cross the wall or cross a barrier.
Right? Remember, because it seemed like they were protected inside the three-eyed ravens, the three-eyed crow. The books. His kind of cave there.
Right. Yeah, it did seem like that. Yeah, and so. Once that's what I'm saying is does he touch Bran again and he can get somewhere else? Is there something in the crypts of Winterfell that he needs to get? Is there, an artifact there? Is there someone there he needs to seek revenge against? You've also got the hot springs there, which have always been a mystery to me underneath Winterfell, and all that good stuff. Now let's shift. Okay, again so we've covered Dany, we've covered Jon. What about Bran? Why? why would his target be Bran? I guess is my question.
Yeah, well, I think Bran maybe presents a special form of power, that he wants, right? Like, I mean, he has to have something similar, because to me it's just kind of like he's chasing Bran because he has that moment where he touches Bran, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought for a long time what would happen was that once I saw that scene where Bran kind of touched the Night King and the Night King kind of grabs him, is that was like the barrier breaker, right? Like that gave him access into some different kind of power. And that I always thought that Bran would then cross back over the wall or underneath the wall, and that would like give the Night King the ability to be able to go in as well. That's what I thought for a long time. That didn't end up being the case in the show.
Yeah.
We obviously still have to wait and see if this happens in the books, but for a long time that's what I thought. So there's also the connection: right? The big belief is he and Bran are the same person. Or if he was like Bran the Builder, is that some sort of connection with the Brands, right? And how a lot of people believe the Brands are all like one person.
Yeah,
all that stuff. So I think there's a connection there as well. That could be the case.
Yeah. If there's a personal, you just said it. I mean, if the Night King is after his former self or something, or if this Bran the Builder is this reoccurring or a reborn hero who keeps sort of being reincarnated every so often, like this cycle or whatever, maybe this is something where he's trying to break that cycle by killing Bran. I don't know. Also, like you had mentioned, it's unreal how, I mean, he does have some powers, like either green sight or what seems like the ability to connect with Bran in this way. Like he almost has these when he's in the show, when he's facing down Bloodraven, they kind of have this stare off, as if like it's this mental battle. I mean, he's there, but he's not there, and Bran sees, Bloodraven just sort of, I don't know, disapparate, I guess if you want to call it that. when he's
absolutely,
cut down. So he has a lot of similar powers, but maybe there is something more that he needs from Bran, or it's a revenge thing. When I heard the actor say this, I was like, who would he be ticked at? Who is he, pissed at that like got away or that wronged him all those thousands of years ago? Or is that not who the Night King is? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same actor. So we saw the guy who's this Vladimir Furtick guy is the actor who supposedly Bran, when he looked back into the past, saw this guy being turned into what is now the Night King. So who is alive? Who is alive now that he would want to have take revenge against? I just don't. That's what's kind of hard to wrap your mind around, unless it's something crazy like, Bran and him being the same person, or whatnot. But I think that actually might lead us into shifting gears into who we really think the Night King is, Sir Matt. Because
and do you just want to say, or do you want to go through possibly some data?
Okay. Well, yeah. Let me pull up. Okay. So what I have here, and this is all book stuff, so it's tough because we can draw from the book as much as we want. Let's talk about the Long Night. Okay. So the Long Night is, in Westeros, it just refers to this period of time where darkness fell over the known world. It occurred during the Age of Heroes. And in the Age of Heroes, by the way, as Sir Matt and I were going through A World of Ice and Fire, it's just an approximate 1,000 years or so. We don't really know how long it was.
Yeah, we don't know exactly how long.
Right. So sometime during that Age of Heroes. And that's where you've got Lan the Clever, you've got Bran the Builder, and so on, all the great heroes. And so, that's when this occurred. So it's about, they say anywhere between here's the range, 6,000 to 8,000 years before Aegon's conquest. So, there's a big range there, right? It was in the midst of this great winter that had lasted for years and years and years. During that time, there's, the others are attacking. The first men had kind of created an alliance with the Children of the Forest. So, let's see. According to Westerosi legend, in the midst of the darkness, a race of apparent demons called the Others emerged from the uttermost north of Westeros, a polar region of the land of always winter, which we've talked about before. We know where that's at. And we think, after the Long Night, they went there and retreated and have been there for, in fewer numbers. So they wielded these razor thin, short, swords, just like what we see in the show. They can raise wights to fight to fight against the living. The children of the forest and their allies, the First Men, fought valiantly against them, and but they were driven southward by their advance. So, like, they have an alliance. They fight. It's not working. The others are pushing them back. The others are eventually checked when it's discovered that dragon glass can kill them. That all of this just doesn't sit with me because I don't know. I'm gonna ask Sir Matt a question in just a second. Let me finish the tale here. So
go right ahead.
Let me get all this out here.
We're getting pumped up here.
We're getting fired up. Okay. Legends from the North claim that the last hero made contact with the children. The first members of the Night's Watch drove the others back in the Battle for the Dawn. So if you go over to the Battle for the Dawn, it's this epic battle where basically they beat back the others, and it marks the end of the Long Night during the Age of Heroes. The Battle for the Dawn is where you get these three different types of heroes, these three legends coming together, that being Azor Ahai, the prince that was promised, and the last hero. And I think they're really, the question has always been, are those one and the same? Are they just different tellings? Like the North calls it the last hero, R'hllor calls it Azor Ahai. The prince that was promised is something that, derived from Valyria, or maybe, even R'hllor, Targaryen lore, who knows? But what's interesting to me, though, is that, like, this is Westeros when there was only First Men there, and so I don't know, when I think of Azor Ahai, that doesn't always just sit with me very well, because I feel like the First Men, when I hear the tale of the last hero told by Old Nan and told by the North remembers, I feel like that might be a truer, telling. That might be the hero we need to focus on. But what have you? There's that. So, So in the midst of the darkness of the long night, the others emerged far from the North. As we said, according, let's see here, to some of the true histories. Yeah, it was the last hero, who was able to defeat them, overthrow them. It doesn't really say how, though. It was just that, in this Battle for the Dawn, there's this epic, fight where he's able to defeat or push back the others. And then after that, they have to build the wall. They build a great barrier to keep them out, and, the Night's Watch is actually, the Battle for the Dawn is where the Night's Watch is formed, going forward. So not to be confused, and I don't want to throw anybody off here, but I was looking up, the Night's King, the 13th Lord Commander, totally different thing. If it is connected somehow, that's cool. I don't know how it could be. It is said, according to legend, that the Night's King did live during the Age of Heroes. But again, this is a long span, and it says that he lived not long after the wall was completed, but he then was later the 13th Lord Commander, which means he was super old. I mean, we don't know how many, unless the Lord Commanders were only living, or ruling for 1 to 2 years, then maybe he could be someone, a player, someone who was there during the long night.
Yeah, you and I had come up just our own number. This is not referenced by anything. Yeah. We said, I would say it's probably safe to say about 5 to 10 years per commander, because you're obviously gonna have some people that rule for like 30 years, and some people that rule like 6 months, like Jon Snow, and you know what I mean. So yeah, it just depends. Like it seems like Mormont was there for probably around. Well, I mean, that one you can probably actually track, but
yeah, you probably figure that one out.
Yeah, it's probably like 10. It's like 10, just off the top of my head.
Yeah,
probably like 10 years or something like that. Mm-hmm. I think Blood Raven was also around 6 years or something like that. Was for the time he was Lord Commander before he went off.
Yeah, and so if you can find an average there as to what you might think it would be, there's been 998
in our head, probably around like 10 years. I think is probably a safe assumption.
Yeah, and then if you times that by 998, Lord Commanders, that's a long time ago when the first Lord Commander hit the wall running, I guess, or manned the wall. So anyways, that's just a little background, just a tidbit. The Night's King gets confusing because the Night's King, the 13th Lord Commander, does hook up with someone who is a, either a white or an other, We're not really sure. According to George R. R. Martin, he's this legendary figure akin to Lan the Clever, Bran the Builder. But he does say he's no more likely to have survived to the present day than they have. So this is probably not. So when we're talking in the show, the Night, the Night King, it's not this 13th Lord Commander, or is it, Sir Matt? I don't know. Yeah,
could be. No, it very well could be. So some things I found interesting that you and I were talking about. So I think that you have the three heroes, right? You have the last hero, Azor Ahai,
yeah,
and the prince that was promised. So you have the prince that was promised. What's the other one? There's a third legend.
Oh yeah, it was just Azor Ahai, the last hero, and the prince that was promised.
Yeah. Is it? Do I have it? Here? I have it here pulled up. I want to make sure.
Yeah, just Azor Ahai, the prince that was promised, and then the last.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
The last.
And it
hero.
seems like they kind of get blended together in the show. It's just it's just kind of the two. In the books, it's a little more of the three.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, not really the last hero. You hear it very much, but So you have that piece. The who is it? Where is he coming from? There's also, as you're saying, with this 13th Lord Commander, Sir Ezra. It seems like if the wall's already there, then what was the wall built for? Was it just a barrier built to protect the children and the first men?
Yeah.
Because if that's the case, then why did the battle ever need to take place?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and that leads me to a question, my friend. Okay,
right.
The question I wrote down before the show that I told you I wasn't going to share. Okay, so here it is. Let's just jump right to it. So my question is, let me read just a little bit about the last hero. Okay, because
go right ahead, man.
All right, So I'm just going to read from the book. So this is Old Nan telling a story to Bran. We actually, I think, covered it not too long ago. And she's talking to Bran, talking about, oh, my sweet summer child. What do you know of fear? Fear is for the winter, my little lord. When the snows fall 100 feet deep and the ice wind comes howling out of the north. When the sun hides its face for years at a time, and little children are born and live and die, all in darkness, while the direwolves grow gaunt and hungry, and the White Walkers move through the woods. The others, thousands and thousands of years ago, a winter fell that was cold and hard and endless beyond all memory of man. There came a night that lasted a generation. The kings shivered and died in their castles, even as the swineherds in their hovels. Women smothered their children rather than see them starve, and cried, and felt their tears freeze on their cheeks. In that darkness, the others came for the first time. They were cold things, dead things. They hated iron and fire and the touch of the sun, every creature with hot blood in its veins. They swept over holdfast and cities and kingdoms, felled heroes and armies by the score, riding pale dead horses and leading hosts of the slain. All of the swords of men could not stay their advance, and even maidens and suckling babes found no pity in them. They hunted the maids through the frozen forest and fed their dead servants on the flesh of human children. Now these were the days before the Andals came, and long before the women fled across the narrow sea from the cities of the Rhoyne, so Nymeria. And the 100 kingdoms of those times were the kingdoms of the first men, who had taken those lands from the children of the forest. Yet here, there in the fastness of the woods, the children still lived in their wooden cities and hollowed hills, and the faces in the trees kept watch. So as cold and death filled the earth, the last hero determined to seek out the children in the hopes that their ancient magics could win back what the armies of men had lost. He set out into the Deadlands with a sword, a horse, a dog, and a dozen companions. For years he searched until he despaired of ever finding the children of the forest in their secret cities. One by one his friends died, and his horse, and finally even his dog, and his sword froze so hard that the blade snapped when he tried to use it. And the others smelled the hot blood in him and came silent on his trail, stalking him with packs of pale white spiders, big as hounds. And then Old Nan is interrupted by Maester Luwin. So, that's sort of this, that's the story that Old Nan tells about this hero. So my question, just focusing on that hero, right? What we see in the show is the children create the Night King, correct?
Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So here we go. My question, though, we don't really know the context of that, do we? We don't know, did they So my question to Sir Matt is: did the children create the Night King to fight against the First Men? Like, was that something that they, created to fight them at first, and then it turned bad against them?
Yeah. So like that's
because that's crazy if they made the Night King.
That's something some people have said, and I've even some of our listeners and patrons have said before. I know that's something I want to say Lord Adam Parker brought up once. It was like made a it's kind of like made a super weapon.
Yeah.
Right. And then it like got out of control.
Yeah.
And then it's like, like now we've done something. But the thing is it's like even the others, it's kind of it's kind of unclear exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's not clear exactly if the others existed at the same time of the children, or if they created them in order to help fight against the First Men.
Yeah.
Because really a lot of our stuff is Old Nan's Tales and the first few chapters of World of Ice and Fire, and the first few chapters of World of Ice and Fire are very, very vague and kind of confusing. And this is like this is like the fourth time we've read through it.
Yeah.
And even going back here and I'm looking at stuff, I'm like, wait a second, well, hold on, it's very vague and confusing.
Right.
So
yeah, exactly. I agree with you. So follow me for a little bit. Let Sir Ezra. I'm gonna go on a tangent here. So
go right ahead.
My thing is the last hero sought out the aid of the children. Okay. Now, according to legend, when he was seeking out the aid of the children, they were already getting beat by the others. The others had already been beaten. So when I think, and again, you're putting book and show together, so this is hard, but in the show, they create the Night King. They create this monster, right?
Right.
Was that the last hero? Did the last hero come to them for aid, and then he ends up being like he was looking for aid in a way to fight back against the others or what have you, and then because it says seeking out their magics, right?
Right. Right.
And then so all of a sudden they create him, and then he goes and fights the others, which were something different, but then he turns into their Night King. It's a little bizarre. Or the other thing could be that the last hero then just is seeking out the children of the forest who have already created, the others, and it's maybe a dark secret that they have, that they created this enemy. They didn't realize what they had done, and the last hero seeks them out and finds out that obsidian or dragon glass or dragon steel, as they call it, is what will kill them, and they can't stand against it. And is that all it is? Is it that simple? And that the last hero, they give him the knowledge to basically go defeat, the enemy or the monster that they had created. So if that's the case, the question is, who still is that guy? Who is the guy that they press that obsidian, dagger into his chest? Is I've made the case that he could be maybe the last hero.
And this is something.
He could be,
and this is something that's weird, right? Yeah. So the obsidian dagger that they press into his chest, is it a ritual?
Yeah.
Because if obsidian kills them, then how is it that like obsidian creates them? And I know that's just a show thing.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm totally curious to see how it plays out. Maybe that was just, I don't know, because
I get you. Yeah.
Because you and I were reading.
Yeah.
And like you and I were reading, and I was reading it back at the Dawn Age just before we started. I was going back over it, and it talks about kind of the children of the forest and who they were and stuff.
Yeah.
And it says, like, the children of the forest were in many ways the opposite of the giants, as small as children, but dark and beautiful. They lived in a manner we might call crude today, yet they were still less barbarous than the giants. They worked no metal, but they had great art in working obsidian, what the small folk called dragon glass, while the Valyrians knew it by a word meaning frozen fire, to make tools for weapons and hunting. So, then you had said something earlier where it's like, they realized that dragon glass would kill, the others.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, yeah, that's what they use for tools and hunting. It's like they should have known that a long time ago. So then maybe they use obsidian right? Because that's just what they know how to work. Maybe obsidian in its own right is magical. Maybe it does, like, we're gonna find out because John is mining a ton of it in Dragonstone so they can make weapons.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then that would explain some things. Because I was saying before this, I wonder if there's obsidian in the wall, right? Because it's going to be used with probably ice and rocks, and that would actually explain why the Night King would have a hard time passing through, because maybe the obsidian itself is the thing that has a magical barrier around it. And that's why in the show he just flies the dragon over and destroys the wall. Because even the wall itself, just its height, I still have a hard time thinking that the Night King wouldn't just be able to march down with an army and take over the wall, especially since there's gates. So I think that there's something magical about the wall that we're going to find out in the books. Obviously, the show, I don't think it has any more time to really talk about that.
Right.
But it's just interesting to me because, if Mance Rayder and some of these wildlings can climb over it, then you surely could, have an army just go march down, bust open that gate and get in, with no issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. And like you were saying, they create the Night King with obsidian. It seems like, they press that in. So
yeah, absolutely.
Why would they not, if you go back to the last hero story, right? And he has to
how would they not just be able to? I mean, obviously he's like crazy powerful, but it seems like you would like be able to kill him like right away.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. That's where I'm saying that the children were using him at first as their weapon, and then he got out of control. And then they went and hid maybe, and then the last hero has to seek them out for a way to destroy what they created. It never actually says. I mean, Old Nan gets cut off there, that he reached them. I know the wiki says that he does eventually reach and gains the assistance of the children. I'm almost wondering if they stumble across the obsidian, dagger or dragon glass as being a way to kill these, others or whites on their own. I don't know. Maybe the children are really in cahoots with the Night King. I just don't. Although when you look at the show, Leaf is clearly, they're clearly struggling against the others and fighting. Right. So, there's that.
And maybe it was the others. That's the other thing is history gets because our history is told to us through the perspective of people, right? That's something we've talked about.
Yeah.
So the history that we have, maybe it wasn't really the first men that killed off a lot of the children of the forest. Maybe it was the others. Mm-hmm. And maybe because, once the wall is built, they're just up there. And so they have a much harder time fighting because they're like by themselves because, the men are no longer helping them. And the Macers just perceive it as we're the ones who killed all the children. Like we conquered it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep. That's good. That's a good point. Another thing here, just because I know folks are probably like screaming at us right now, wondering why we haven't brought it up, is the connection that everyone thinks. There's a lot of people, anyways, who think that this Night King is a former Stark, and could just be an old Stark who needs to go to the crypts for something sealed there. I don't know. I just can't picture though who the Night King would have a personal vendetta or seek revenge against among our current cast, unless it's Bran, for messing with things or for messing stuff up or whatever.
Well, Jon too. I mean, Jon, is a Targaryen, but he's still also Stark. He's still half Starks.
Yeah, he is. And I'm just thinking though, like Jon. I don't know that Jon's tampered. I'm like, why would he be so mad at Jon? I like, why would he want to kill him unless he's just Azor Ahai, the last hero, the prince that was promised, whatever he may be. Maybe that's just he has to beat that person and then he wins the great battle. But they already know right now that Dragonglass can beat these creatures. So I feel like if you go back to the legend of the last hero, once they found out, I guess, from the children that obsidian worked and Dragonglass worked, it seems like they wielded it and they beat them back. Now, if you go with the Azor Ahai situation, there's a lot more to the Azor Ahai prophecy and the Warrior of Light, and it seems to be a little bit more fleshed out. You know what I mean? There's more to it, I guess, there. But yeah, it's like, so we have obsidian. We're mining it. We're bringing it up north. There's a lot of it in Dragonstone, according to Stannis and others. So, we should be good, right? We should be able to fight these guys. No problem. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what all the fuss is about now that we've got the secret weapon, unless the children gave the last hero and others something more that we don't know about. So, yeah, I don't know. One more person that I wanted to add to the list, though, that I think the Night King might be seeking out is Gilly's baby. If she was reunited with her baby, and that is her baby there in the crypts, perhaps remember that was the baby that they were supposed to get as a sacrifice, the final kind of sacrifice up there at Craster's Keep. And
yeah, absolutely.
That so maybe there's some ritual that they need to complete, and they're upset that child was taken from them, in some way. So because it looks like, I have a feeling, I got a vibe from that trailer that the Night King was going into the crypts of Winterfell or wanted to get in there for some reason, and that's actually where they're all holding up, trying to stay safe, I guess, as the war rages on outside. Yeah. So I don't know why that would be. Why he would be after that baby, other than this is just one that got away.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's the baby, the baby kind of aspect.
You're not as sold on. Yeah,
I'm not as sold on. I don't know why that suddenly would be the trigger, for them to.
Yeah, to move south and stuff. Yeah,
to move south, like
right.
A loss of one baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because that means that somebody would have had to have been doing that before Craster's time, which is possible. But it seems like way more than that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. How do they? Yeah, like the generals, and also that's not a white. Are they turning that baby into an other? The way we see it in the show is like that baby never dies. It just is turned. So that's interesting in that, like, there's a difference between the whites, and then the Night King has his like generals, or what you would call the others, around him. So how are they created? Because we only saw the Children of the Forest create the one. Maybe they did create more, and then they learned how then to, I don't know, reproduce or create. Apparently the Night's King there, the 13th Lord Commander, was hooking up with one of them, who was female.
Yeah. Yeah, Nisa, yeah, or not Nisa.
Yeah, whatever she was, the queen. Oh gosh, the Night's Queen, the Queen of the North, or whatever she's called.
Right.
Yeah, who she kind of seduces him, and then he kind of turns into this cold, figure who.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
the Corpse Queen.
Stark.
The Corpse Queen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. That is bonkers. To me, I just bring it up because I've heard people in the group talk about it, and if you're looking for a target, as somebody who he's after, I throw the baby in there just as a backup. I can't think of anybody else who he would be, after Sir Matt. I just, not seeing it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I'm with you. I just generally don't know who or what it could be. That baby, the baby one just really doesn't. To me, I think it's got to be Jon. I mean, Jon's the main character, and they've already had that stare down and stuff. I still don't know if Jon is like Azor Ahai or the Prince that was promised, or Lightbringer, or the Song of Ice and Fire. That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, but. Now, do you think we'll actually learn his identity, like who the Night King is, like his backstory?
In the show, I hope we get something. That would just be it would be really disappointing if we didn't.
Yeah, I mean, what if he's
in the books? In the books, we definitely are going to.
Yeah. Because I don't know, it just seems like I don't trust the children, man. I mean, if they created the Night King to fight the First Men, or if they created that guy, the Night King, to help the last hero, or if that was the last hero, that they created there, and he just then turned into the Night King, and maybe the others were something different, and they weren't what we think they are. That's sort of a brain twister there. The other thing, when you start talking about the Bran situation and how, this could be Bran from the future. This could be, a lot of different things just with the time situation and him messing with things and going back and seeing events and maybe influencing things here and there. He obviously influenced stuff with Hodor. And we were just actually, the chapter we were supposed to read today, Bran's actually down by in the God's Wood, and he's praying to the old gods, and they actually speak back in whispers. They speak back in whispers, and the wind blowing through the leaves, the rustling of the leaves. And what's her name? The wildling who's with them, that tries to kill Bran, whatever her name is. She actually is the one who says that he, that the gods are speaking. You just need to listen, and that they actually are kind of speaking back to Bran. And it's like, perhaps that's Bran himself talking to, answering, his own prayer in some weird way through the Weirwood network.
No. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, to me, Bran's easily the second option just to do with, just to do with his power and of the being like a three-eyed raven and green singer and all that stuff.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, I think he's someone significant, and he's either a Stark, or he's Bran himself, or he is the last Azor Ahai, the last hero. And here's something, Sir Matt, that we've danced around a little bit, and you and I have talked about off the podcast, and I know other people have talked about this a little bit. But perhaps to be the savior, you have to take the Night King's place,
Right.
I mean,
that would be cool. That's is it Pirates of the Caribbean or the Caribbean? Pirates of the
something
Caribbean,
like that.
Where you kind of always have to have a don't they kill what's I'm blanking on it, but Orlando Bloom's character, he's
got to take the debt. Yeah, that's owed.
There's always got to be someone.
Right.
Yeah, and that would so maybe that's the same place with the Night's King.
Yeah, I think that would be a crazy twist, right? Is that like Jon realizes he has to become the enemy to put an end to this, and that allows whoever the current Night King and his followers are to go to peace. You know what I mean? And to maybe they saw the Night King saw the arising of this hero. The comet comes back signaling that Azor Ahai, Prince that was promised, last hero, is back. There's a new one who is here again, and that person is there to take his place. It's just this cycle. I don't know. But that would be wild.
Yeah. So what are your kind of I guess closing thoughts here, Sir Ezra, about kind of the interview and what do you think? Season 8.
One thing I saw some comments to on this video I was watching earlier is that this guy could be totally just messing with us. I mean, he could be out there just having a heyday. I don't think that's the case. I don't think
it is either.
Yeah, no, I don't. But I just kind of thought that's funny. I had to throw it out there because it could be the case also. But I think, he has a target. I think we're going to see a showdown. I think my major question was, will the army of the dead be defeated at Winterfell, or will they have to fall back and retreat? And there's a second battle at the Trident or the God's Eye or something. I don't know. I think Winterfell is the place where winter will fall. And that's probably where they're going to be defeated. And like you have said in the past,
I think that's going to be the big battle. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously they win, right? I mean, someone's going to die. Several of our heroes are going to be lost. And we'll move on from there.
Down.
Yeah, I mean, Beric lives, Dondarrion forever.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I'm kidding. But I think my big takeaway from that interview is just that, like, I want to know who the Night King is now. I actually want to know, like, how I've seen how he was wronged by the children who we're supposed to be allies with, and we think they're all
right.
Whatever. Apparently not.
So I mean, if the revenge he's seeking is on the children,
right? Why does he keep going?
Then maybe it's Bran.
Well, yeah, maybe it's Bran. And also, that's why I thought the Isle of Faces, if there is something going on there, if the children do have a secret city or a secret place there, then, maybe that's somewhere where he needs to go to seek his revenge or to finish it at the God's Eye, because it's a very secretive, place. And in the books, when they're up there in Bloodraven's or the Three-Eyed Crow's cave, those tunnels go down into the earth and connect clear across continents and under oceans and stuff. It's just like there's underground streams and rivers and stuff, so those children could be anywhere, according to the books. So that's a little sidebar, but
yeah. I mean, what if his revenge is simply against R'hllor?
Yeah, that could be it as well. I mean, that would be interesting. Wow, dude, I just had major deja vu. I don't even know. Like, I feel like, I'm sorry. I had to tell you because I feel like we've had this conversation so many times, and Sir Matt has said that before, and it's just, maybe that's it. Maybe that's all it is. I don't know, man. So what are your big, final takeaways? Mine is just that I want to know who he is now. I really want to know his backstory and who he is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my biggest takeaway is that we're finally starting to get some answers. Like, literally just something that small where he's just like, he wants revenge, makes the Night King at least more human. Because right now he's just kind of like this zombie, gonna march south, I'm a zombie tank, kind of, you know what I mean, thing.
Yeah.
And so it gives it this kind of this element that I think
yeah.
Because in the show, I don't think that the Night King fight is if it ends with the Night King fight, if that is the whole thing, if it's not just a bridge to Cersei, right? And if it's all taking place at the very end,
right.
then that would change things. Otherwise, the Night King is just a means, to cause us to realize something about, like, say, Jon or Dany that is going to propel it's going to change who they are to make the battle against Cersei that much more important.
Yeah.
Because Gur's just too good of a writer to have, like, the climax happen and then, let's just have, like, the rest go happen. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
Like Lord of the Rings, which he is a huge fan of, right?
Yeah.
If you were to destroy the ring, then that defeats the whole purpose of the the last battle, right? Where they're like, this is on this day,
right.
what I mean? Like, then okay, then what's kind of the point of that big epic battle? So
right,
you need them both. So I don't know. This leads me to think more that the big battle of Winterfell, the Night King doesn't die there.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think the final battle is going to be King's Landing.
Like later on,
Cersei is also going to be involved too.
Yeah, that would really raise the like, it just almost seems like, okay, you have one big battle where the good guys win. This is the first time that they've actually really faced the others, and the first time they face them, all is well, and they win. Although they lose a lot, but they win. I don't know if that's too straightforward as well. One more thing. I've been going through comments on Facebook and YouTube and everywhere. Someone said, and I have to give credit, I'll find it real quick here, that the voiceover that in the trailer we hear Bran say, everything you did brought you where you are now, where you belong, home. Someone just said, imagine if Bran were talking to the Night King when he said that. You know what I mean? Like, and he said that to the Night King face to face when he's facing him, and that it's, everything you've did brought you where you are now. I was like, wow, that's kind of crazy to think that he would be talking to him, and that the Night King has finally come home to Winterfell. I was like, what? So I don't know.
Yeah. That would be crazy.
That's just,
I don't know, but
no, I don't think that's actually who he's talking to. But I just thought, it's just funny. It's like Pamela Hinton or somebody who, just a random comment on a YouTube video it's killing me, man. People are going nuts over this. They want to know who he is. They want to know, what the connection is to. Someone said, obviously he's after hot pie. Clearly
he is.
As Sir Matt said.
A battle of ice and fire. Okay,
right?
Yeah, I mean, hot pie's in the kitchen
all the time. Yeah. Yeah, the battle rages on in the kitchen. Jiminy Christmas. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, all right, man. Well,
I love what you're saying, though. You know,
I think that's about all I got on this.
Yeah, me too. I would love to hear what other people's thoughts are. Just, you know, I guess in the two big questions are, you know, who is he after? If our actor here, Vladimir Furtick, is right in that, like, he played him, you know, that the Night King is seeking after someone, and that person is seemingly John, you know, or Bran or Dany or whoever. You know, let us know who you think that is, and then answer the almighty question here: who is the Night King? You know, just who is he? I think that'd be kind of cool to hear other people's thoughts, and we can bring it up in the main show. Sir Matt and I can talk about that next week. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for listening, and remember that winter is